Welcome everybody to the Critica1 Fail Podcast. This is our inaugural launch into our 5th edition D&D campaign. We have a wide range of players of different experiences here, and we'll go around and introduce ourselves. My name is Jeff Morgan. I am a filmmaker and storyteller of sorts, and D&D, pretty much even more than college, played a foundational part in my career, just in learning how to think about how other people think and how other people play. 2nd edition was my baby, and I've limped through the other editions, but I'm pretty excited about 5th edition and getting back into it, so there will be a little bit of stumbling today. Feel free to leave hateful comments in the comment section if you want to, but we will be improving ourselves as we go, but we're all learning together. I would say I'm a modestly experienced DM and player. On the internet, broadcasting into the room from across the country, we have Jake. Jake, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I'm Jake Popst. I've been doing D&D and various other role-playing games for quite a few years now. This is my first time playing 5th edition, and actually there's some interesting things that they've done to it that I'm pretty eager about. I am remotely calling in, so these guys have been watching my face on a giant projector, which isn't working at the moment, unfortunately, but in the future I'm very much looking forward to that.
And yeah, once your internet's cleared up, we'll be game.
Yeah, that's all on my side, unfortunately.
What we like is starting the bar low.
Right.
And just clearing it. Over and over again. We're lucky that there's even dice. Matt?
I'm Matt Lewis. I am a social media guy. I've played D&D once before, but I've been a big fan of the different podcasts and the Penny Arcade run. So I have some experience listening to how the game plays out.
And is it true, one of my favorite things you told me is that you've actually bought several editions of D&D in the hopes of playing,
right,
but have never actually been able to get one?
Upstairs I've got a 3.5 and a 4 player's handbook. I played 3.5 once. 4 came out, I bought it. I never played. So now 5, which is really exciting. I just kind of drew the line and said, I have to play.
Yeah.
So I'm hosting all of these.
Yeah, Matt's making this all possible by putting us up in his house and letting us, do all this stuff. So,
yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
I'm Nick Gravlin. My only experience with Dungeons & Dragons would be Boulder Gate video games.
Nice.
I've stabbed many beholders in the eye. Other than that, Matt came and asked if I'd be interested in playing, and I'm a big fan of fantasy and, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, stuff like that. So I've always been interested, never had an avenue and or friends who are interested with the same stuff that I am, but luckily I met these lovely guys. I'm really excited. It's going to be fun.
And you've never done any sort of pen and paper dicey
No.
thing. Have you played Magic, the Magic games? Magic the card game?
Yeah.
This isn't anything like that, but I'm just asking.
No, I've played Magic the Gathering.
You're familiar with tables, right?
Played some Pokemon cards back in the day.
You're familiar with
translate.
You're familiar with IRL gaming.
Yes. Right. I've played plenty of board games.
Yeah.
Growing up, my family would have board game night every other week.
Oh, that's fun.
And we'd play never Monopoly because it takes too long,
right,
but we'd play some sort of game like Taboo or
that's
Categories,
awesome.
Pictionary.
I'm trying to do that with my kids. Get a lot more tangible gaming playing and stuff like that too. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. All right, guys. So we will be playing, as we said, 5th edition, and at the moment the plan is that we'll be playing a completely made-up world of myself, mostly because we just don't want to take everything that Wizard works so hard on building and just spill it across the internet and spoil it for them. And I'm a control freak, so we'll be playing the things I've made up. But this world. It might be a little bit of a rehash of one I played in college, but basically it's just starting all over. So there will be materials and maps and stuff as we build this world together, but actually we'll be building it together, and that'll be kind of the fun of this. And so we'll start dealing with that. But there is a larger world, so I've written up a little bit of something about the general universe, which I'll read, and then we'll go from there. So welcome to the land of Morgania, cleverly named. Named after a long-dead king who was also an adventurer, who was also an explorer, who was also a cartographer, who was also handsome. This is a far-reaching continent with every race and creature imaginable, often divided by searing deserts or craggy mountains, but sometimes not separated nearly far enough. Malevolent creatures find their way from the sea, the mountains, and even underground to reach out and snatch the lives and sanity of the good people. But that is not all. Treachery comes from within as gold is discovered, magics are unearthed, societies created, and power is won. People are people after all. But amidst this writhing turmoil that the gods must surely shake their heads at, there is opportunity. Heroes can rise, money can be made, and a history can be shaped. From the tallest spires of the greatest cities to the blackest heart of the putrid swamps, foes, riches, and adventure await. So that's that. Then I have this huge white section that says what's really going on in the world that you guys can't read.
Oh, you have to highlight it.
Yeah, and change the color back. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I wanted it here in case I
very sneaky.
I'm super sneaky.
Right.
You gotta just punch me in the face and take it. So today we will be featuring an adventure around a town called Aegrotos. And Aegrotos is a thriving town at the base of the Skyreach Mountains. It's a center of trade and commerce for those dwelling in the hills, as well as for those living downstream towards the larger cities. Aegrotos is removed enough from the major cities that larger wars and political pressures rarely ever come here, but news and travelers are in abundance, so they are part of the world, but set aside from it. You can find a little bit of everybody from, dwarves from the mountains and the hills to, human farmers from the plains around it. Elves will often come here to hawk their goods and things from as they would, and it's just a little bit of everything here. It's a really, really popular place for adventurers in the greater area to come and get started out because everything is in abundance and information is in abundance. So when a young man is looking to start out and get going, a young woman, they can come here and do that. Despite being close to the mountains, Aegrotos has no battlements to speak of, so no walls, no fortifications on the outside. Though it is nestled in between. It is nestled in on a river, and this is just kind of a sketch I did just to kind of give myself orientation of it. It's got, let's see here, with around 200 dwellings, businesses, and shacks, it sprawls around 2.5 miles deep and 1 mile wide. In the center of town is the stately mayoral manor. The good mayor Thomas Breathleton, a human merchant from this area, has held office for quite some time. Most surface-dwelling races are evident here, though about half of the population is human. The major religions have set up houses of worship, as have the major circles of magic, but it's they're not very. They're all sharing kind of a mutual area down here. This is just something that especially you, Matt, would know. But like there's like one big kind of house for magic users and one big house for the various religions, and they're just like little things. They're kind of segregated, but prevalent. Many travelers make their way to Aegrotos from surrounding towns and farms to ease their way into the wider world. I guess what I would like to do is we'll take one of you and we'll get you guys into the first starting area where there is an inn called the Slotted Eel, and it has a debaucherous reason for its name that no one will tell you unless you really dig deep. And while not the cleanest of establishments, it is the definite hotspot for information and adventure. The authorities rarely visit here, so it can be a rougher establishment, but it also means that people can show their true colors. The rooms have sturdy doors and lock from the inside, should you decide to stay the night. Let's see. Let's start with Jake. I think Jake would make sense. That Jake, maybe you're here looking for work or drumming up interest or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you just entertaining?
Yeah. What do you think would bring you to Aegrotos, and what do you think would bring you to the Slotted Eel Inn?
Well, lately I've been doing a lot with researching some of the stories of the Gnomish people. So since there was a large collection of a bunch of different races, I happen to be in the area looking for some of those stories. But I also need to eat and sleep, so the tavern is going to need me to do some performing in order to get that. So I'm probably going to be during the day learning some more about the stories, and during the evenings playing from my room.
Nice. There is a little stage in the corner. In the main room, there's looks like about 12 round tables that kind of get slid around as the different groups decide them to be. There's some chairs around a fireplace in the corner. It's a bit room of about, looks like about 20 by 80. There's a big bar. There's a dwarven barkeep Sherman, a graying dwarf with about 4 teeth and a sharp eye. He's kind of standing behind the bar, always keeping an eye on things. He also curates the information in the area, Jake. So you would know this now that he's kind of the curator of rumors and jobs and whatnot. Just kind of unofficially fell into it, and it keeps his business going. He's a very shrewd and straight to the point kind of man, dwarf, excuse me. Yeah, so something like that. There are, probably about a dozen people in the room. There's some groups of tougher looking folks sitting over in the corner, about 5 of them, 1 woman and 4 men. There's the barkeep, of course, and then there's a couple that looks like they may have stumbled into the wrong place for a romantic interlude, and then yourself, and yeah, you make up the place. So what would you like to be doing here, Jake, as we settle in?
What time of day is it?
Well, let's say it is. It's about late afternoon.
Late afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just about done with the hangover.
Yeah, you probably woke up an hour or two ago.
Yeah, not too bad. So now it's probably going to be a breakfast or lunch, I guess. So I'm probably going to try and get some of the food for the stay.
Okay.
And just kind of keeping my ears open to what's going on around me, see if I can hear some interesting conversation.
All right. Well, unless you insert yourself into a conversation, the five ne'er-do-well looking toughs are kind of glancing about and kind of speaking in hushed tones and don't really seem to be very welcoming. The couple who seems to have stumbled into the area are kind of like just looking around for a reason to leave or an excuse to get out of here. And the barkeep is just polishing glasses. He looks open to talk. That's his trade and business. We can say that maybe you've got a room here and you've been staying here. Maybe he's how about he's been willing to let you stay here, but you've been obligated to perform for an hour a night a day in exchange for your room and board. So you can kind of eat whatever you want and whatever, and you'll probably go on at like 7 o'clock in the core stage. So if you want to go over and talk to barkeep Sherman, you can get some information from him.
Sure, yeah. So I'll go over and say hi to Sherman, see if I can get some lunch, and see how things have been going today.
He plops down a bowl of greasy stew, and he's like, about to pick up. Not much going on right now. Got a couple new postings for jobs here, but nothing a dandy like you would be interested in. So, just make sure you wow him tonight, and we'll see if we can drum up some business.
All right. Well, it's always good to be in the know. So, what kind of jobs are you looking at?
Oh well, we got our typical little postings around. There's a couple caravans leaving. Let's see, end of the week. Got some guys who want some caravans escorted. There's some work done at the docks where they've been having a little bit of trouble at night, and they want somebody to kind of step in. Though, between me and you, I'd recommend that people stay away from that because the mayor's guards will step in there and take care of it. And the last thing you want to do is get between the mayor's guards and the goods they're trying to protect. But it's a posting that's still valid. Otherwise, you are already employed by the finest inn in the town, so you should be very happy to be here and working for me. You can stay here for as long as you are earning your keep. Let's see if there's anything else going on. Probably in an hour or so that crazy gypsy Helen will be coming in, and she'll have some silly stories and conspiracy theories as she does, but I wouldn't pay her much of a mind, but someone like you might be able to squeak out some interesting stories for her. She might be good for inspiration. She's always got a colorful tale to tell.
Indeed, that might be someone I'll have to stick around for.
All right.
Do you know where any of the more of the gnomish societies have been around here lately?
The gnomes are typically setting up down near the docks. They kind of come in on the rafts and bringing in their trinkets and goods upriver, pushing them up with the long poles and making their way up here and then floating back down. It's kind of strange for you to want some some gnomes. What's up with that? Hey, Jake, why don't you describe yourself briefly?
Oh, sure. I'm a human bard. I've got brown eyes, fair skin, red hair, 5'7". Got a one of my bardic costumes on, so I've got plenty of patchworks of colors and.
Did you sleep in it?
Probably not in that one. No, I did get dressed. That one takes a lot to clean. So
okay.
It's not very good.
It's not for debauchery.
No, not that one. I've got the other costumes for that.
Well,
and then I've always got my loot on me.
Nice. Well, Sherman, is adequately curious about your connection to gnomes. So, if you want to explain about that.
I believe that we need to hold on to the stories of the past. So I'm constantly looking to learn more of those stories. And honestly, I never knew much about the gnomish societies or stories to begin with. So I'm kind of curious in general.
Well,
that's why I'm looking for them.
Best of luck with that. I would suggest you stay with the classics here, but do what you want. He says. All right. Well, around that time, the door opens up, casting in some late afternoon light, and the door is half filled by a broad dwarven-shaped silhouette. Matt, would you describe yourself?
Sure. I am a mountain dwarf paladin. 4'1", 160 pounds. Got green eyes, light tan with red skin and red hair. I do have a fairly sizable warhammer that is slung through my belt, and a pretty typical shield on my back. I'm gonna walk my way up to the bar and see if I can't get myself a beer.
I like it. All right. Well, barkeep Sherman, Jake, you probably noticed, is a little bit more friendly with you as a fellow dwarf. He's like, "Evening, traveler. What brings you here today?" And he just automatically puts a stein of some nice, fancy,
no question.
Just like frothy and beautiful thing right in front of you. It's Jake. You may also notice that's a clean glass.
Yeah.
Oh, high royalty just stepped in.
Well, really, I'm just passing through the area at the moment. Been doing my best to really explore the area and try to figure out. Find some ancient texts of the Ula, which is the god that we worship here. So it's my quest to just learn more and see if there's anything of relevance in the area for me to find.
Like, well, I guess that makes two high society folks between you and this guy. He gestures over to the colorful looking bard next to you. He's like, most of what I know about is the kind of work that puts calluses on your hands, not book reading and singing about gnomes, but whatever floats your boat, I guess. It sounds like you two are a match made in heaven.
No mistake. I'm no stranger to calluses.
Well, it's a very nice hammer you've got there, I will say. He's like, there are some escorting jobs going on in the next couple days if you're interested. Otherwise, just kind of keep your ear out, and we'll see what the breeze blows in tonight. I'll keep an ear out for anything relevant to Ula.
Well, if I'm done with my stay here, it may be a good way for me to earn a couple gold into the next city.
Sounds good. He turns around and scribbles something in Dwarvish on the thing, and it's just like, says dwarf, Ula, big hammer.
Yeah.
Good for many things, and kind of like post it on this board behind him where there's a whole series of other things, and kind of keeping track of things. So you made the board, so that's good.
Fantastic.
Impressive, yeah.
So Jake and Matt, do you guys engage in conversation with each other, or are you guys disinterested in what you see?
Yeah, I've never heard of the dwarf Ula. What type of religion is it? What's going on with that one?
Well, in the city I grew up in, she was the one that placed all the gems into the mountain that we were mining. So it paid us gold pieces to worship her, and her heart's in the right place as well. So it was a natural fit, and really, I just want to learn more about her and her history and where she's going. So that's my quest now that I'm out on my own.
Oh, very interesting. Now, what kind of relics here are you looking for?
Really, just anything ancient, anything that nobody has seen for a number of years. At least nobody who cares about it. Just anything that links back to Ula or her followers.
Were they stolen before, or what happened?
Well, everything's been stolen once or twice if it's old enough.
From in the middle of your conversation, a maybe mildly inebriated voice cuts through and says, "Ula is the god of short, greedy little bastards." Turn and you see that one of the ne'er-do-wells who's sitting over on the side has stumbled his way over and is kind of like standing right behind the bard, right behind Jake. What's your character's name?
Urith Lander the Great.
Standing right behind Urith and glaring you down there. What's your name? Thornton? Thornton. Looking at Thornton and kind of little wobbly, kind of trying to look at you. His eyes aren't quite lining up right, but he's giving you the look. Just belligerently waiting for an answer.
Yes. Well, I grab my beer by the handle, slowly spin in the bar stool that's bound to spin, and just say, "Well, sir, you are certainly welcome to your opinion."
He's like, kind of wipes his spittle off his lip, and he's like, "Well, people like you are the reason." He kind of spaces out for a second, and then up comes this woman, comes from behind him from his group, and says, "All right," and just drags him back to the corner. And that's the end of the intellectual conversation that guy has to offer. Around that time, the door opens once more, and a small gaggle of people come in, actually, and start to fill in some seats. About four dock workers. You can tell the dock workers by the waft of fish smell that comes in as they come in. A couple other people kind of come over to the bar and order up drinks, and at the back of them is a very tall, very resplendent-looking, handsome young man. Go ahead, Nick. Describe your character.
Sure. I am Liam Ghostfist, the 6'2" human ranger, raised by wolves in the wild.
Quite literally?
Quite literally.
Nice.
I don't take to other people very well, not very trusting. And I've recently had to leave my forest and where I was raised due to a conflict between giants. So I'm in the process of just trying to hunt down the giants that ruined my lovely my humble abode.
So what's brought you to the Slotted Eel this evening? And what do you do to begin achieving what you want to achieve?
I heard a rumor that the mountains behind the city may inhabit some giants.
Nice.
So I'm trying to gather any information that I have, and I've heard that the Slotted Eel, as the rougher establishment in town, would have the people who have the same motives and or same aspirations as myself may end up there.
Very cool. So you're looking to form up a hunting party or gather information and strike out
Yes,
north?
Mostly gather information. I'm a lone wolf.
Lone wolf.
I don't need to deal with other people at the moment.
Right. And they smell funny anyway. Well, in walks this tall, probably dirtier than you realize he is, human, big bow on your back, packing.
Big bow.
Yep, and walks across the bar, and do you go over to the barkeep?
Yes.
And engage?
Yes, I'm gonna go over to Sherman and ask him if he has any information about possible giants in the territory.
It's like, giants? Oh boy. He's like, every once in a while I see some giants come down working on a boat. They're usually working, pushing that thing up and downstream and working hard. He's like, I haven't seen giants down here in quite some years though. He's like, we drove them north. He's like, I think if you go north to the other side of the Skyfall Hills, you might have better luck. He's like, honestly, otherwise you might have to journey down to maybe one of the larger hunting guilds down in the bigger cities to look for something like that. He's like, there are some caravans heading that way. I could maybe hook up with one of them. He's like, yeah, otherwise that's about all I know. Giants don't bother us here much.
Is there any other, other than the caravans that are heading that direction, any other work in town that you can tell me about? As
I don't think my current funds will get me to the next biggest city.
He all of a sudden kind of gives you a look. Can you make an insight check? Wait, now everybody, this is Nick's first D&D roll.
Okay, wait.
Ever.
Ever.
So let's see how this no pressure, but this roll will let you know how your entire D&D career is going to go.
Which dice do I use?
A D20. And
Oh,
you're going to be
is it-
and you're going to be making an insight check, so you'll be
Right. So +5 on top of it.
Yep.
So anytime I do a skill check, is it always a D20?
Yes.
Right, I should write that on my sheet just to remember. Okay, so 18.
Okay, good. You pass, and he just appears to give you a look that maybe you're used to seeing, where he's like all of a sudden wondering why he's wasting his time talking to you if you don't have much money. So that welcome to D&D. Around this time, the drunken man from the corner kind of comes stumbling up to the three of you and is like, "What an odd pair of bedfellows you make." Burps a little bit.
I am totally using prestidigitation and drawing a giant penis on this guy's face.
The man,
I love it.
the man who is completely unaware of the cock and balls that have appeared on his forehead, kind of rubs at his mouth in a comical way, and he's like, "Bard, you better get yourself singing here soon. I'm getting bored."
I can see that very much so. That, you know what? You're absolutely right. Why don't you go and sit back down, and I'll go play some music here for you.
He's like, "You better get to it." And he walks back over to his friends again, who are all watch him walk back up and whatever. So what do you?
I shoot a sideways look to the bard.
Yeah.
Just because I've witnessed everything that's happened.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You can't prove anything.
How long does your cock and balls last for?
An hour.
Perfect.
I'm pretty sure it's an hour. Maybe a little bit
I
shorter,
think that
let's
we
double
can
check.
make a house rule where cock and balls automatically last an hour and track.
An hour, yeah.
And track with the.
And let's be honest, an hour is impressive.
Yeah, that's true. And you'll notice that the remaining guy and girl from that group also walk out the door.
Okay. I'm going to follow them out to see
Okay.
what's happening in the street
Okay.
now.
So-
Abandoning my beer. Just saying.